Hello everyone. So, long time no see. It's been a bit of a 4-month hiatus, but I'm back to discuss the last lunation of 2023, which is going to be a full moon in the sign of Cancer. So this is like a very full circle moment because the first video that I made was exactly a year ago, the full moon in Cancer of 2022. And so in this video, as always, we're just going to check in with some of the kind of celestial planetary energy that I see around this full moon in Cancer. So we're just going to talk about some of the major planetary aspects, as well as we're going to do some readings from some books, as well as pulling some oracle cards, some tarot, to get some more clarity around this lunation. So the full moon in Cancer is going to occur on the 26th of December, the day after Christmas, and it's going to go exact at 7:32 p.m. Eastern Time or 4:32 p.m. Pacific. And so, as with all full moons, this is going to be an opposition of the luminaries, which I feel like a broken record. I've said this so many times. And so the moon is going to be at 4 degrees of Cancer, conjunct the ascendant. And then the sun is going to be newly entered into the sign of Capricorn, the cardinal earth sign of Capricorn, also at 4 degrees at the exact time of this lunation. And so, because this chart has Cancer rising, the chart ruler is going to be the moon, which again is conjunct the ascendant, is also trining Saturn, which is also at the beginning of Pisces, another water sign. And this could be an ideal time for taking some space, if possible, to just kind of marinate in some quiet, some kind of like reflective energy, maybe taking a bath, kind of soaking up that kind of more like mystical things you might find yourself drawn towards. I don't know, maybe divination, if that's a practice in your life, or some kind of engagement with the mystic within you. And also, what I think is going to be maybe one of the louder configurations of planets at the time of this lunation is going to be Mercury retrograde in the sign of Sagittarius in the last decan. And so if you're unfamiliar, there's a system called decans, which is where we split every zodiac sign into 3 pieces, and 3 chunks are each ruled by a different planet, which is kind of why you could have 3 people who are all born under the sign of Sagittarius, but kind of manifest very different kind of flavors of that energy. And so Mercury retrograde in Sag is in the last decan of Sagittarius, which is ruled by Saturn, and it's going to be, again, retrograde, and it's also in its detriment here. So Mercury is not very happy in the sign of Sagittarius, not in a bad way, it just doesn't typically lend itself to those typical mercurial functions of logic and linearity and attending to the little data and the little details that we typically see when it's fully expressed in the sign of Gemini, which it rules, and it also rules Virgo. So Mercury's in its detriment, and it's also retrograde, and it's conjunct the planet Mars. So this can be kind of an abrasive energy, kind of like foot and mouth syndrome, or having very heated debates or confrontations, which is kind of unfortunate as this lunation is coming around the holidays. So we're already kind of sometimes around people that can be a little bit triggering. And so I wouldn't be surprised if there were some kind of like family disputes happening, especially with the South Node, which is currently transiting the sign of Libra. And for this lunation, it's going to be in the 4th house, so family and, so kind of like the loss of social graces, politeness kind of breaking down, and kind of having this kind of brash energy, words that cut, but also telling the truth. And so this could be pretty useful, like I said, if we do have the opportunity to kind of be a little bit more in solitude, which is probably, even just for a little while, to just kind of first get honest with ourselves, so that there isn't this kind of like pervasive background sense of dread and anxiety, because Mercury and Mars are squaring the planet Neptune, which can kind of show up as kind of this like diffuse background feeling of irritation, irritability, anxiety, just this kind of like feeling of like having an itch under your collar. I don't know if that's the saying, but just kind of not being able to particularly pinpoint exactly what is causing frustration, but just this like feeling of itchiness, and kind of with Neptune it can be just kind of like an existential anxiety, which could kind of flavor our interactions with others. And so I found a passage from Clarissa Pinkola Estes' Women Who Run with the Wolves that I thought kind of spoke to this pretty well. She writes, "The clearing of residual rage must become a periodic hygienic ritual, one that releases us. For to carry old rage beyond the point of its usefulness is to carry a constant, if unconscious, anxiety." So again, if we can kind of have space to kind of clear with using fire, maybe just writing down some like truth within you, then burning it, or taking a bath, and letting that just be kind of like a cleansing, purifying ritual. So kind of burning that up so it doesn't just kind of get pointed indiscriminately at anyone within like a 10-mile radius. And then Red Butler's The Archetypal Universe, which is a very helpful kind of like dictionary style book if you're first getting into kind of looking at planetary combinations. And he has a section on Mercury, Mars, and Neptune, which, as I said, is one of the major signatures of this lunation, this energy. And so some of the kind of shadow sides, which I'll read because they're probably more likely to occur because of, like I said, Mars is definitely the stronger planet, with Mercury, again, being retrograde and in detriment. So this could kind of go in sort of a murky expression potentially. So he writes, "Angry, muddled thoughts, subtle communications of anger, veiled insults, sly sarcasm, uncertainty whether other people's comments have an aggressive undertone, a tendency to act on the basis of mistaken or fantastic ideas, fervently wishful affirmations, emotional blind spots undermining efforts at verbal directness, sneaky tactics, secret actions, deceptive slander, an eager sharing of questionable tales, not keeping promises, a need to talk about one's magical powers, strange psychic pretensions or battles, interruptions in the flow of quietude, a habit of talking about one's emotional anguish or paralysis without full experience of it. So again, this kind of like another aspect, it's very wide. It's within a 10-degree orb, which I typically do not use in terms of looking at aspects, but some astrologers do use a 10-degree orb, especially for the outer planets. And one outer planet is involved in this, and that is going to be an opposition between the planet Venus and Uranus, which can additionally kind of add to kind of this like social edginess or unpredictability, or kind of people acting out and kind of seeking freedom through their relationships and their interactions with others, and kind of this urge to go one's own way, break out, kind of like tropes of infidelity, just kind of like social disruptions in some sort of way, which again can be a little bit conflictual when there's a lot of people together and so many expectations around tradition and how things have always been around the holidays. So I think, let me check in. Yeah, also I wanted to say with Mercury and Mars in this configuration is being careful around not rushing, especially when during traveling, driving, operating heavy machinery, being careful around kind of like taking it a little bit slower than maybe you normally would, just to be on the safe side in terms of like accidents, expecting delays, things like that. So now I think we're gonna pull some tarot cards to check in. What are some of the energies that we might experience as a collective under the full moon in Cancer? What can we expect to experience in our personal lives? Okay. Okay. We'll get one more. And then we'll pull a goddess oracle card to kind of get some insight about guidance that might be available for us to work with this lunation. And I wanted to say also, with the last lunation of the calendar year, it's always a nice idea just to kind of release things generally. So journaling, maybe getting some of that like hot mental aggression out on paper and just kind of burning it and releasing it. Okay. So we have 4 cards. We have to the Hanged Man, or the Tethered One, upright. We have, I always have to count the pentacles because they all look the same to me. We have the 7 of Pentacles upright. We have the 5 of Wands in reverse. It kind of speaks to that chaotic holiday energy. And then we have the 7 of Swords upright. This kind of deceptive figure. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, with the prominent Neptune energy of this lunation and kind of very watery, it's always, especially because, let me check in, what day is the 26th? I'm not sure what it is, but it might be a Monday. No, it's definitely a Tuesday, so it's gonna be on Mars' day. Yeah, very martial, kind of like fighting energy, which can happen like intrapsychically and then also in relationships with other people. So again, taking space, even just one moment, one breath can do wonders for kind of de-escalating and kind of having that little moment of pause between what is like the aggression and then the reaction. Yeah, and so being very forthright and honest, but it's much easier to do that in a way that can be better received if we kind of have this like momentary pause. Yeah, and with the 7 of Pentacles, it can be kind of like this outlashing, or this aggression can be kind of due to this underlying impatience or sense of unease. Like you can see this person's like waiting for something to happen with all of the effort that they've just done. And so kind of lashing out as a result of uncertainty. Yeah, I really see this as the Venus-Uranus opposition, which is still lingering under this lunation in terms of people being a little shady, not gonna lie. Okay, so let's pull an oracle card. Spirit, what is the goddess that is willing to help us? What is the message from a goddess that, okay. We have Ellen of the Ways, patterns. Let me pull 2. Okay. Spirit, what is the message for us as a collective under this Cancer full moon? What is the message that we need to receive? Okay, we have Green Tara, salvation, and reverse. So I'm gonna go and read these messages for us. Okay, this is Ellen of the Ways. Have you noticed patterns in your life that lead to positive experiences? Developing positive habits introduces new patterns into the fabric of reality and will support your dreams as they take form in the material world. Which really speaks to this, planting seeds, sowing the dreams that we wish to reap in the new year. It takes awareness and discipline to make this happen, but you can do it. It's time to allow the experience of a new happiness. If you do, the Celtic goddess of paths and patterns, Ellen, will show you a new way to your dreams. All manner of miracles are possible. Now is also the time to build bridges across any divides with others that have temporarily separated you. Your path is clear. The way will be shown as you make new choices for your life with the goddess known as Ellen of the Ways as your happy guide. Beautiful. Okay, so let's check in. Green Tara. Green Tara, known as She Who Saves, is here to remind you that salvation is contingent on your willingness to release your ego conflicts and surrender your wants and unmet desires, which again, really speaks to this kind of like disappointment. Especially around the holidays, there can be so many expectations that disappointment can often come up, but then that kind of turns into lashing out. Okay. Do you find yourself swimming in a nagging spiral of dissatisfaction? Are you comparing yourself to others and always coming up short? Do you feel entitled to the manifestation of your wants, arriving in the only form that you will accept? When you are suffering from longing and wanting, you are like a hungry ghost that will never be fed, blind to the opportunities that are truly yours. Never fear. Just as a true friend will let you know when you're off track, Green Tara will let you know when you're out of alignment. She will save you from the destructive qualities of hubris, entitlement, and elitism, as well as the consciousness of lack with the following alignment task. Get right with yourself and the world again. First, know that you are exactly where you need to be right now, and if that means empty for a time, that is perfect. Instead of looking at what isn't there, bless every tiny aspect of your life with deep gratitude. Green Tara will show you that the world is your friend. You've only been fighting against yourself. You will then realize and recognize the earth as a place of joy and abundance. So beautiful. Thank you for those messages. And so just to kind of recap, as we close out this year with this Cancer lunation, taking time to really, it's a cliche, but fill our own cups and take care of ourselves so that this kind of conflict and lashing out and feeling like we have to show up in this way that isn't honest can be kind of mitigated. And kind of having this trust that there is this support to find a new way by kind of letting go of what we think we desire and just kind of being in that kind of dark, liminal, wintry space. So thanks for tuning in, guys. If you'd like to chat about any of this or have a natal chart reading where I kind of unpack the specifics of your unique birth chart, you can reach out at projectvenusrising@gmail.com. It will be in the description box below, or you can also just leave a comment. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your year, and I will be back making this commitment to myself for the next lunation, which is going to be a full moon, or a new moon, sorry, in the sign of Capricorn. So see you then.